If you are serious about what protein you use, then use what Jersey JZ uses. Equip Foods Protein. Order yours now at equipfoods.com and use the promo code JerseyJZ for a special discount.
He's one of the most respected referees in WWE history, calling some of the biggest moments right down the middle. Straight Outta JerZey welcomes former WWE referee Jimmy Korderas.
What's up, guys? I am Joe Zapata, and I'm here with our former WWE referee, Mr. Jimmy Korderas. What's up, Jimmy?
I'm doing great, Joe. Good to see you again, man.
Yeah, great to see you, man. Now, I'm a little bit biased because Kyoto's from New Jersey, so I'm a Jersey guy. But you're my favorite too, so don't worry about it.
I get it. I get the hometown stuff. Don't worry about it.
He's the hometown, you know.
But remember, since he's from Jersey, he's got to do the job, right? Because
that's true. He's got to do the job. Now, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, I always ask this to all of my guests. You've been refereeing a long time. How is your overall health today?
You know what? It's okay. Obviously, I have little aches and pains, the knees, because I discovered far too long into my career that maybe wearing sleeves and little padding under your pants on your knees would help because you're up and down so much. Obviously, we don't bump like the boys do, but at the same time, that up and down motion. On the podcast I do with my buddy Donnie De Silva, he mentions all the time. He says, "How is your shoulder still attached?" Because he claims that I counted a little harder than most. Like I was very adamant with my counting. I told him, yeah, but I'm okay. I'm actually doing pretty good. So, like I said, the little aches and pains here, but I could still shovel snow. I could still go for my 10,000 steps a day and get my stuff in. I'm good. And plus, I kick my coverage. My wife looks after me.
Now, I want to ask you: did you grow up a wrestling fan?
Oh yeah,
Huge wrestling fan.
Here in Toronto, we were blessed because we didn't just have one or two promotions on television. This was way back before, the expansion of cable. On Saturdays, we would get 4 or 5 different promotions on television, and that was just on Saturday. Like we had Maple Leaf Wrestling up here in Toronto by the Tunnies ran that, of course. But we had stuff from Buffalo affiliates. We'd get the WWF at the time on the Fox affiliate from Buffalo, and on I believe it was a CBS affiliate. We would get Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Then on other channels here in Canada, we get AWA Wrestling. We'd get
Stampede?
International Wrestling. I'm sorry,
Stampede. Did you guys get Stampede?
Yes, we would get Stampede on a Barrie channel, local indie channel in Barrie. AWA Wrestling. We'd get International Wrestling from Montreal. It was on all day long. With that and roller derby, which I liked back in the day too.
I remember that, of course.
But Saturdays were wrestling all day, then hockey night in Canada at night because the Leafs were a staple on Saturday nights playing hockey. And then after, believe it or not, on Saturday nights, late at night after the game, I would stay up late. My dad, would stay up late with me, and we'd watch All-Star Wrestling from Vancouver.
Wow.
So it was on all day long, to the point where my mom would say, "It's Saturday, go out and play. It's a nice sunny day." And I'm going, "No, wrestling's on."
Yeah. We're about the same age. So I grew up too, my guys back in the day. I mean, I grew up with Rick Martel and Tony Gurria as champions, Bruno Sammartino. So I know all the guys. I go back with all the wrestling. How did you get into this crazy business?
Like being a fan, I used to go. They used to run Gardens every 3 weeks like clockwork, because when Vince bought the company Maple Leaf Wrestling from Jack Tunney, and Ed Tunney, his cousin Jack, Frank Tunney's nephew was Ed. Oh, so the son was Ed. Let me get this right. Frank Tunney's son was Ed Tunney, and Jack Tunney was Frank Tunney's nephew.
Oh, okay.
Ed would handle the books, and Jack did, the booking and all that sort of stuff. But when Vince took over, they ran every 3 weeks like clockwork. And then on the Mondays after, they would run the Brantford Civic Center, which at the time is about an hour, 15 minutes outside the city, and do Wrestling Challenge, 3 weeks worth of taping. So that's why it worked out into 3 week intervals. So
Okay.
every 3 weeks, it was like clockwork. Sundays were the Maple Leaf Garden shows, and then Monday it would be tapings in Brantford, Ontario. And I used to go to every show. I
Okay.
was like a regular, and I went to the office and I asked them for, is there any way I can get like season tickets? So because I'm here every show, I want, and one of the hobbies I had was I like to take pictures.
Okay.
So I don't know if you remember the old footage of the old Maple Leaf Gardens. They had that ramp that used to go from the dressing
Yes.
room to the ring,
Yes.
level with the ring. I was sitting second row ringside, right beside that ramp. I had the 2 tickets right beside in the second row, which allowed me to get some great pics of the guy walking back. They would stop and they would pose. And what I would do was there was a film developing place up here in Canada called Direct Film. And what they would do is they would double your prints for $1. So I would double my prints for $1, and I'd keep a set for souvenir, and I'd take the other set with me to the next show, and I'd sell them for $2 a picture.
Okay.
Trying to be a little bit of an entrepreneur, but basically pay for my wrestling habit.
Okay.
And the fellow who worked for Jack Tunney at the time, I didn't know this, approached me outside Maple Leaf Gardens and said, hey, you got some pictures there? I said, yeah. He says, can I look at them? Sure. And I hand him over, and he says, you selling these? I said, yeah. How much? I said, $2 a picture. He goes, you can't do that. And I'm like, why not? He says, and he went through the whole rigmarole, the copyright infringement and stuff like that. And I said, okay, but who are you? He says, my name's Elio Zarlenga. I work for Jack Tunney. I take the pictures for the program here. And I'm like, oh boy. Now in my mind, I'm not thinking I'm going to get busted. I'm thinking I'm going to lose my wrestling tickets. That's, that's my mindset. But he says to me, you don't seem like a bad guy. Just go, don't do it right in front of the building where everybody can see you. Just scoot down the block a little bit, and I won't bug you. You don't seem like a bad guy. And we became friends. And then he said, I'll introduce you to Jack, and maybe we can bring you on as my assistant photographer because you take pretty good pictures. You'd be ringside with me. And I'm like, this is cool. So I met Jack, and he said, we don't need another photographer, but we'll find something for the kid to do. So I started off as the guy who ran around and did whatever was, go get this, go get that, go pick up so-and-so at the airport, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow. Paul Heyman did the same thing, I believe. He started out doing the same thing, taking pictures.
Yeah. It's amazing. When I heard his story, I'm thinking, yeah, but we had different career paths going forward from there, obviously.
Now, when you were going to the wrestling and taking pictures, were you smarting up to the business? Did you know it was predetermined?
I had an idea. I mean, like, I'm not going to pretend that I knew the ins and outs, but I had an idea that that the outcomes were predetermined. Let's put it that way. And because I hate using the F word, phony. Because even then, I realized that this was taking a toll on everybody's body. It's very physical. Yeah. And it's, so I respected that aspect of it, but I also respected the entertainment aspect of it, and I was able to shut that off. And sit down like a fan and actually just enjoy and not try to overanalyze everything like everybody does now. I just I'm going to sit back and have fun with this. This is fun for me. It's not supposed to be sit down and go, well, I can't believe he missed that move, and I can't believe it. You know what I mean? So that's how I approached it then. Now that I do all these shows, it's like I'm supposed to critique, and I'm like, oh well, I could nitpick all day long, but.
So then how did you put on the black and white stripes there? How'd you get the stripes on?
Yeah, I'd been working for Jack doing all that stuff around Ontario, and sometimes when they'd filter into like Western New York, because we're right across from Buffalo's and Easy John, stuff like that. One day we were at Maple Leaf Gardens, and during the show, Pat just looked down, and I was just sitting around waiting for something to do, give me some orders and I'll go, I don't know, pick up lunch for somebody. I don't know, whatever it was. And Pat says, Jack, we got the kid. He's sitting here all day waiting for something to do. Why don't we use him during the shows? He says, we'll make him a referee. And Jack says, do you want to smarten the kid up though? And Pat says to Jack, Jack, the kid's sitting in the locker room with the boys. He's kind of like, got an idea what's going on. So he came up to me and said, get your black sneakers, black pants, the blue shirt, and a black bow tie, and carry it with you at all times.
Wow.
Which I did. But I didn't know enough to start asking questions for, when I get called upon, what do I do? I don't know what I'm doing.
Wow, that's crazy. So what was your first match that you had a ref?
First match, I remember it fondly. A good friend of mine, SD, Special Delivery Jones, versus the Red Demon, who was Jose Luis Rivera, who's a real good guy too. And it was here in Ontario, in Newmarket, Ontario, just a spot show, house show. I had my stuff with me, like they told me, carry it with you all the time. And Chief Jay Strongbow was the lead agent for that show and the producer, as they call him now. And he says to me, he says, Jimmy Jam, you got your stuff with you? And I said, your ref stuff? I said, yes, I do, Chief. He says, well, I'll put it on your reffing tonight. And I'm like excited, but at the same time going, I don't know what I'm doing. He says, you're going to referee SD Jones versus Red Demon. Get with them and they'll tell you what to do. And I said, okay. So I got dressed and I went and I walked up to SD and I said, SD, I got some good news and some bad news. He says, cool. He says, what's the good news? He said, I'm reffing your match tonight. He says, great. He said, what's the bad news? He said, I'm reffing your match tonight. I have no clue what I'm doing. So he said, just stay close to me. I'll talk you through this little thing and you'll get through it. So we got through it. And then afterwards he sat me down and talked to me. He says, it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. Just, start asking questions, go to the veterans, ask them how to do this. What am I supposed to do here or there? And start asking different little situations as you go along and continuously learn.
Wow.
And even ask the boys, just what can I do? What should I do in this situation? And that's what I did. I went to the veterans and I started asking, and that was it.
I was gonna ask you about the referees today. They all have the earpiece on. They got the technology. You guys didn't have that back then.
No.
So how did you really improvise? Did you have to listen to what the boys? Because the referee's job, he's part of the story. People don't realize that. You're not like the boys, but you guys will push it along.
Right.
So how do you communicate?
Yeah, like we're the conduit that kind of helps communicate between the boys, because they can kind of subtly pass messages to each other when they're in close proximity. But when they're on opposite sides in the ring, sometimes you have to rely on your referee to pass a message to them. And now the referee has to pass that message without looking like he's overtly passing a message. It's kind of like in the process of doing your job, like you're checking on someone, and when you like first bend down, you can say, all right, are you okay to continue? We have 4 minutes left. And that's like quieter. You do the initial interaction with him a little louder, so maybe somebody hears it. So, oh, look, he's doing his job. And then when you bend in, you look like you're whispering. It almost looks like you're checking on them and not passing a message, if that makes any kind of sense. But
yeah, it does.
The time cues were the interesting one, because the timekeeper, whoever the timekeeper was for the show, and at TV, it was usually Mark Gayton.
Okay.
They would give us hand signs to count us down. Okay. So you'd have to, as you're working the ring, you'd have to always kind of pass by and occasionally look over and get those hand signals, like 5 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go. He'd count you down. If the pencil went in his mouth, that means go home now.
Okay, gotcha.
And if it was a house show, you'd get Jack Lanza running down the aisle waving his tie, going, you're going way long.
Being here from Jersey, I know a lot of the boys. Tito's a friend of mine. Tito's over here in Jersey. Kyoto, with the Morellas, when Joey Morella was here, he lived in Jersey. Kyoto told me that you guys used to drive the truck and did a lot of stuff. Did you drive the truck too? I guess you might have.
Yeah. I was in charge of the truck up here in Canada. Because it was much easier to have a ring up here instead of having to go through customs and have to go through all that rigmarole of bringing all the equipment through, because now you get pulled over, you get inspected the whole bit. But it was easier because they ran more often up here at the time too, as well. So like Tony Chimmel and Kyoto had their truck, and before Joey as well, God bless him. I had the truck up here. Eventually, I think it was Jack Dolan and Chad Patton had the one in Midwest. So kind of strategically placed and had their own crews, unless sometimes the ring would be stored somewhere and you'd fly in and then load it up in the truck and take it somewhere else. But I looked after the ring up here and drove that truck.
How much freedom did you guys as refs have to improvise during that match? Did you guys have a lot?
It was limited. It was like,
It was really.
okay, freedom to react to certain things,
Hmm.
but if you overreacted, you'd hear about it and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's a fine line
Hmm.
with the improvisation. Obviously, at house shows, it's a little more freedom
Hmm.
to do your little reactions or whatever you're involved with, and
Hmm.
sometimes, as far as referees go, you're supposed to be kind of invisible until
Yeah.
you need to be visible.
Hmm.
Um, at house shows, sometimes the boys like to have a little fun and implement you in certain, fun spots, which
Hmm.
you won't do on TV because, you know,
Hmm.
the old
Yeah.
man wouldn't be happy about that. But yeah, TV, it was pretty much structured. Here's what you do, and um, the freedom we ended up getting eventually was, if things go wrong, like we've been seeing lately, where um, counts have been kind
Yeah.
of held up when somebody doesn't kick out, and
Hmm.
we saw one instance where someone didn't kick out and the referee did count three,
Hmm.
which was technically the right thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, so it it was tough. It was tough because sometimes you have to. Refereeing went through stages like wrestling. You know,
Hmm.
very stoic, very authoritative,
Yep.
not much going on, and then the referee started to be
Hmm.
a little more movement. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
But again, you have to be careful not to be a distraction while you're moving as well.
Hmm.
It,
Exactly.
yeah.
Makes sense. Did you know who was going to win the match beforehand? Did you know that?
Oh, yes,
Of course,
yes.
you knew that. Okay, so you knew
Which
the whole
Yeah,
match play.
which is good, which is
Yes.
good, and in some instances it can be a problem. I know a lot of talent, a lot of the old veterans say, well, sometimes we wouldn't clue in the referee so that they could react accordingly. It would be a natural reaction. Because
Okay.
one of the things I notice now, and this is me because the way I watch wrestling now, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, there are things that I can't unsee, is with referees today, because they know what the finish is,
Hmm.
they have a tell
Hmm.
when it's not the finish.
Okay.
And when I see those, I go, I'm wondering if anybody else sees what I see.
Probably not.
Because I'll give you an example on Raw recently. They had a match with Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree where Becky won the championship back.
Hmm.
There was a good false finish in there, but prior to that, in the match, the women's tag team match, Jessica Carr
Hmm.
had a wonderful false finish. She didn't give it away.
Mm.
And you can tell when the crowd reacts.
Yeah.
When they go, wow, I thought it was it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I'm seeing a few more of those now lately. They're getting better. But again, I'm seeing these tells, and people ask me, well, what's the tell? And I said, well, I don't want to tell you, because if I do, then it spoils it for you.
Yeah.
Because we used to do a TV show up here on Sportsnet in Canada. They used to run all the WWE programming. They were the partners. They were the
Okay.
distributors in Canada of WWE. And we were at SummerSlam here in Toronto. And I won't give away the referee's name or the tell, but I was sitting with the producer watching the match, and he went, they had a close false finish. He went, oh, and I didn't
Oh.
flinch. And he said, you didn't even what? You didn't even blink. I said, no. He says, why? I said, I knew that wasn't it. He says, yeah, but you know the finish. I said, I don't know the finish. I'm not in the locker room. I have no idea. He
Hmm.
says, well, then how did you know it wasn't the finish? I just knew. Happened
Hmm.
again. And he says, again, you didn't know, you know the finish. I said, no, I don't know the finish. I just, the referee has a tell. That's all. He said,
Hmm.
what is it? I said, I'm not telling you. He says, why? This is the producer of our show.
Okay.
He says, why? I said, because if I tell you, you won't be able to unsee it. So he just kept going. You got to tell me. You got to tell me. I'm curious now. All right, I'm going to tell you, but don't blame me now.
Okay.
So I told him what it was, and he went, "Oh, damn, you're right. I can't unsee it now." I see,
Wow.
it ruins the magic. That's why some of the stuff, when there's that fine line with peeling the curtain back.
Yep.
I
Hmm.
don't mind peeling the curtain back. I just hate tearing it down.
Yeah.
You know what I
100%.
mean? Yeah.
Yep. And that's all, you were in wrestling for what, 22 years? You're right. Your
Well,
referee career, 22 years?
Yeah, closer. Let me see. Well, 87 to 2009. So that's what I'm trying to do the math. 24.
24 years.
Yeah, and
Okay.
plus a year and a half or 2 years before that working for Jack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's all timing, because those false finishes, when you do the 1, 2, and then you got to,
Yeah.
that can go wrong sometimes. We've seen it go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I learned quickly from my mentors is always try to position yourself where you can make eye contact with the guy being pinned,
Okay.
so they could see you and count loud. Because
Okay.
sometimes what happens is when you go down
Yeah.
to start your count,
Mhm.
sometimes the person being pinned assumes that when you went down, that's the 1 count when they hear you hit the canvas, but that's not the count. Do you know what I mean? They
Yes.
hear you hit the ground, but that's not a count. Then when you
Mhm.
count 1, and then they'll kick out before 2, and you're
Mhm.
thinking, well, they kicked out early because they assumed that was 1. So what I would do is I would get in position. I tried to slide in more than plop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that
I know
way, and I would
exactly.
count very loud and try to make, eye contact with them so
Eye
they could
contact with
see
them.
me.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they
okay.
knew that I
Okay.
wasn't going to fudge the numbers when it comes to my cadence. I'm going to keep the cadence the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any wrestler, and I know like Ricky Steamboat told me that like Macho Man was very precise on how he wanted a match to go. Did he come to you or did he say, "Hey, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. This is how it goes. Be here."
Yes. When you refereed a match with Randy Savage, it was like he'd come over and he goes, "Okay, we're going to do this," and he'd lay out the entire match for you. I want you to do this here. I want you to do that there. And okay, now I'd get nervous because I got to remember all this stuff instead of
Yeah.
reacting naturally. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Okay, he wants
Yeah.
me to do this. He wants me to do that. But yeah, he was very famous for laying out the match, like from start to finish. Whereas you get other guys like Eddie, who, yes, TV's a little bit different, but at
Mhm.
house shows, Eddie would, Eddie, what are we doing tonight? Oh, frog splash. Says, anything else I need to know? No, you'll see it out there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Vince McMahon. I want to touch Vince McMahon.
Mhm.
I was talking to the Godfather. He was on here and I interviewed him. He didn't really want to talk about Vince. He's good friends with Vince still to this day.
Yes.
Vince McMahon, he's been in the news obviously recently with a lot of
Mhm.
things going on. How was your relationship with Vince?
It was fine. I mean, like, we weren't pals or anything like that. We were employee and boss,
Mhm.
and he always treated me well and treated me nice. Like he gave me the pat on the back when he thought it was deserved, and he also got in my face when he thought something was going wrong.
Mhm.
And I understood all that. I never took it personally. It was never anything personal with Vince, but he liked to clown around sometimes. Vince had a sense of humor.
Okay.
An odd sense of humor. So my relationship was strictly business with Vince, and the occasional jabs here and there that he'd take.
Mhm. Yeah. Now I know his son Shane.
Mhm.
He also helped with the ring crew, right? And helped
Yeah,
with and everything. And Vince had him working there. And Vince said, Kyoto told me Vince treat him just like he was another employer. Just do this, do that, do that.
oh yeah.
How was Shane working with Shane too?
Shane was a good dude. Shane didn't take advantage of the name McMahon. Do you know what I
Oh.
mean? He didn't try to big league anybody. And when he was like on the ring crew, he worked just as hard as everybody else without even
Mhm.
having to tell him. He just
Okay.
jumped right in. He wanted to be there for everything. He wanted to help with everything. He wanted to learn everything from the ground up.
Hmm.
He was that mentality, and he was really good at learning. He didn't think that he knew everything just because he was Vince's son.
Mhm.
He knew that he had a lot to learn, and he did. And he had this when he eventually became a character on television.
Mhm.
He really wanted to prove himself.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I don't know if it was so much prove himself to himself as prove to his dad, like, look, Dad, I can do
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
which he was really good at,
Mm. Yeah. He was.
yeah. But he sometimes took some risks, that's for sure.
Yes, I remember. I think you were there when he fell back off the scaffold, correct? You were
Yes,
right
with
there.
Steve Blackman. Yeah.
That's correct, Steve
Yeah,
Blackman.
and the only thing I kept thinking, oh, I hope he lands right. I hope, and then I should have known better, because Shane, as much of a daredevil as he was very, very tuned into, the landing and all that sort of stuff. And
Mhm.
the main thing was just make sure he's okay.
Mhm.
Poor Mikey had to take care of him when he was with Kurt Angle, when Kurt couldn't throw him through the glass, and took
Oh,
several attempts to do it.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
He told me that. Yeah, he said Vince
Yeah.
was yelling in his ear.
Yeah, stop it. And they were like, nope, I'm putting them through. He's like, oh, Kurt can get intense a little bit,
100%. Let me ask you about Joey Morella. The late Joey Morella, rest in peace. He's a Jersey guy. He was from there. Gorilla, obviously, his father. How was Joey, and when did you hear about his accident?
Joey was great. We got along really well. It's amazing, because his dad, Gorilla, was so, again, he was so, I respect him so much.
Mm-hmm.
He was so kind, and he labeled Joey and I the twins because we had a similar kind of hairstyle. So when we were in our referee gear, I remember distinctly WrestleMania 4, where the opening match was the battle royal for the trophy, and Joey and I had to walk the trophy down the day before we're doing the rehearsal. And girl was like, okay, the twins will carry the trophy down, and let's just work on that. And but Joey himself, very cool, because he was there before I was, so he was very instrumental in helping me out and helping me understand how things work, not only in the ring, but also how to conduct myself.
Yeah,
which was really nice. And I was at home when I heard about it, and it hit I don't know, it was too real, if you know what I mean. It was just like, and at the same time, you're thinking it's impossible. We were just, we were just at, I don't remember where, together, and it just doesn't seem. It just doesn't seem like this is real. It's unfortunate, and. You try to make sense of it, and I'm a person of faith, and I know that everybody has a path, but that's just, to me, that just doesn't feel right. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he was loved by a lot of the boys. They all loved him and respected him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was really one great. Obviously, I want to bring up another incident, May 23rd, 1999, terrible, tragic event that happened with Owen Hart. You were in the ring, and thank God nothing happened to you either. But if you can tell my audience what happened that night and explain to them about Owen's death.
That's one, unfortunately, that's going to stick in my brain forever.
I know.
There's a lot of it that's still there, and there's stuff that just I don't remember. It's like when the accident happened, I was in the ring. They'd had a hardcore match right before that. So we went out to help clear some of the debris out and just clean it up for the next match. And I was assigned the match with Owen and Godfather. Owen was Blue Blazer. He was going to do this repel from the ceiling, and he was going to stop about 5 feet above the ring. And they had a quick release mechanism for him to be able to, do this pratfall, is what it basically was. And I don't know what happened up there. I mean, all the investigations, whatever, but whether it was a malfunction or whatever the case may be. But I was in the ring, and I was kind of half watching the screen where Kevin Kelly was interviewing the Blue Blazer, pre-taped. And I was kind of kicking stuff out of the ring, and I was moving towards that corner where, and I heard yelling. I don't know what was said. I assumed it was the crowd, because there's 16,000 people there. And in an instant, I felt something brush by me, and I was holding the top rope, and the top rope pulled out of my hand and snapped back and just jammed my fingers. And I thought to myself, like, what the heck was that? And I'm looking around, because in my mind I'm thinking, did the top rope break? Because WWE uses actual rope. They don't use the cables. It's actual rope. And so I'm looking, and I said, the ropes are fine. And when I turn, I see Owen, and he's there, and I'm, laying face up, and walked over and I didn't process it 2 and 2. I didn't put it together, and I just called out a couple of times. There was no response. So I panicked. I started screaming for help, and people started flying in, and King Jerry Lawler came over, and everybody was working on him, and I just stood back and like,
yeah. When
just
you
let everybody do their thing,
was looking at Owen, was he gone by that time? He looked out of it. I mean, obviously he was
his eyes were open.
open.
They were open.
Okay.
I mean, but there was I don't know. It's just, when you look at someone's face and there's just nothing there. His eyes were open, and that's when I didn't think the worst at that time. I just thought this is not good, and so that's
one of the toughest things ever. I mean, do you think they should have continued?
No, I don't think they should have. I mean, at the time, I know it was a big debate. I know there's 16,000 people there who paid and whatever, but at the same time, once they found out, they should have just stopped it right there. I mean,
yeah, that's a tough decision to make. I wouldn't want to make that decision.
Yeah.
That's high pay grade to make that decision, and Vince made that decision.
Yeah,
unfortunately. You also went to the hospital too that night, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I followed them out to the ambulance, and I was like, I was kind of shaking a little bit, and so somebody sat me down, gave me a cigarette to kind of calm me down, and John D'Amico, who's one of the production guys, he came out and says they want you to go get checked out, make sure you're okay. I guess it was because I was panicking. I was like,
yeah, it's.
And I said, I'm okay. He says, no, I got your stuff. Let's go. So he took me to the hospital, and it was the same hospital where they took Owen, and they checked me out, and they said, you're fine. You're just, need to calm down and that sort of stuff. And I asked the nurse, I said, they brought my friend in here. Is there any word on him? And that's what she said. Oh, you're here with the wrestler that fell? And I said, yes. He said, I'm sorry to tell you, he's passed. And that's when I just broke down again. And I called my fiance at the time, who now my wife, and I told her, and then that's when it became a blur. I don't remember leaving the hospital. I don't remember whether we drove or flew to St. Louis for the next day. I just remember waking up in St. Louis.
Wow.
And grabbing my stuff and heading to the building. Just my mind was not there. Just running on cruise control, not having a clue what the night before.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to Brett about it? His brother, Brett? He's ever asked you anything?
Not really. We not really came up with Brett. I've seen Brett since then a few times, but it's one of those topics that we don't
talk about.
We don't really talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Montreal screw job. Obviously, Bret Hart wasn't from Brett. A lot of people were saying it was a work. Some people were saying it, well, what do you feel about it? What do you think?
I hate to sound like the guy who's sitting on the fence, but that night I didn't think so. But as time goes on, I'm thinking, man, you know what? If things had worked out a little differently, you know what I mean? Because there was just, Brett's too smart, in my opinion.
Yep.
To allow himself to be put in a position where he's in the sharpshooter. Do you know what I mean? I think he's a little too smarter than that, especially back then. Why would he go to Earl the night before and ask him, hey, Earl, if they ask you to screw me, you won't screw me, will you? You know what I mean? He had that conversation with Earl. Why would that conversation come up? That sounds, now thinking back on it, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, that's an interesting conversation to have with someone the night before you're going to the ring. This, in my mind, could very well be one of the most elaborate and best kayfabe works ever. And it's one that we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Unless somebody says something, we'll never know. Because look at the timeline. Okay. Brett's going to WCW.
Yep.
Who's to say that Vince didn't say to him, okay, you're leaving for WCW, go there, get that money, go through your run, and when you come back, you'll be the biggest thing in this business. But then while in WCW, of course, he has that accident with Goldberg. You know, unfortunately, that stuff happens. You know what I mean? And he's unable to make an in-ring comeback, which kind of puts a damper on maybe the future plans if that was the case. So,
yeah.
And one of the other interesting things was I found out later was that day in Montreal, they had canceled all the media access to the building in the afternoon.
Wow.
Which I found interesting because sometimes those media people are near the backstage at that time, near the backstage area, not exactly in watching the monitor with everybody, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't want anybody near the place. So,
wow. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't think about that. One of my favorite wrestlers was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. And, you know, he had 2 runs before, like in the early 80s, he came in for a little bit as Kurt Hennig. Then he left. Then he came back when he started the Mr. Perfect transition. Yes. Now, is it true that you actually named the Perfect Plex?
Yes.
Wow, that's true. Incredible.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That happened at a house show, and he was just morphing into that Mr. Perfect character. And a Fisherman Suplex, which is the name of his finish, the actual name is Fisherman Suplex, was his finish. And he comes back through the curtain. And I was just happy to be standing there with Jack Lanza because we were watching the match from the curtain together. And Jack says to Kurt, he says, Vince loves the gimmick. He loves the finish. He wants you to come up with a name for that finish, a name for your finishing move that fits your character. And I don't know why. It just, popped in my head. And I turned and I said, Jack, do you mind if I make a suggestion for that finishing move? He says, sure. What do you got? I said, how does Perfect Plex sound? He turns around and goes, Kurt, we got the name for your finish.
Perfect Plex.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just popped in. I don't know. You know how it is. Every once in a while you get a thought and it's either it's either crap or it's good.
yeah, exactly. Like Austin would come up with 316 and just like that. And, it sticks and everyone loves it.
Yep.
The Hall of Fame. I want to ask you. I grew up with a lot of wrestlers like referees like Dick Worley and Dick Kroll and Gilberto Roman. Hall of Fame. There's people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't belong in the Hall of Fame, but I think there should be a spot for referees. I really do. You should be in there. Kyoto should be in there. What do you think about the Hall of Fame?
I agree. I think there should be a spot for referees and for other people who are not actual physical wrestlers or managers in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you said it earlier, and I completely agree that the referees are an integral part of any wrestling match, because technically speaking, you can't have a match without a referee, and a good referee can make a good match better, and a bad referee can make a good match not so good.
100%.
So they are an integral part of it. So I don't see why there couldn't be a spot for referees in the Hall of Fame, and a lot of the people you named, that
Joey Morella.
Joey Morella for sure. Even outside the WWE, because they have been extending olive branches to people outside the WWE. Tommy Young. Yeah. There's some great ones out there. I'm not saying let's flood the market right now, but let's at least break the ice and
exactly.
Start the ball rolling.
Yeah, because the referee's job's really, you guys got to think sometimes on like the Kurt Angle and Daniel Pruder incident. You were there. Okay.
Yes.
That incident got they looked like they were shooting on each other.
It was.
And it was a real shoot.
Yeah.
You had to make that count to make the 3 count. Was that something you just did? What happened?
Yes. When they started it, at first they were talking about beforehand Kurt stretching everybody, but Kurt was at that point in his career where his neck was not 100% and stuff like that. So they figured whoever the winner was, Kurt would take him, stretch him a little bit, and then, go about their business. When he made the offer to anyone else to jump in the ring and Pewter put his hand up, everybody looked at each other. I mean, I looked at Al Snow in the ring and I went, like, I'm looking at him like, what's he doing? And, you know, Al's coming like, he's going to do what he's going to do. It's Kurt, you know what I mean? So when Pewter came in the ring, we were thinking, okay, here we go. And Charles and I, again, looking at each other thinking, I don't know. And I'm not well versed in MMA.
Okay.
But I did realize that hammerlock, keylock, Kimura, or whatever you want to call it, that he had on him was not good, and he wasn't letting go. So the only thing that's going through my mind now is, how do we get out of this? How do we stop this before? Because Kurt's he's not gonna give up to this kid. He's not gonna tap. He'd rather lose his arm than do that. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what do we do now? And they fell to the canvas with Kurt on top. And Pewter's shoulders were down for a second, and I thought, to hell with it, I'm just going to count. So I started counting. Even though he lifted after 2, I counted 3 anyway. I don't care. I just wanted it to end. And then they got up, and Kurt got in his face. And to Pewter's credit, when Kurt was dressing him down, he was saying, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And now he told him, "Get out of my effing ring." Got out of the ring. And you know, we walked back. I've kept my distance from Kurt because I knew he was
heated, right?
You know, he was heated. And I ran into Fit Finley, and Fit comes up to me and goes, "Did they tell you to do that?" I said, "No, I just did it. I hope I don't get heat for it." He says, "No, you're not going to get heat. You just saved Kurt's arm."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, I'm not even going to mention anything to him." Yeah, that's it.
Wow. That's really something right there. I wanted to bring up your book here, The 3 Count. You have this book here available on Amazon. I'm bringing it up right now. It's available on Amazon. Adam Copeland Edge wrote the foreword, I believe, correct?
Yes.
You and him are good friends, huh?
Yeah, we were good friends. I mean, I was there when he first started. Like, I remember him from here in Ontario. He started off, obviously, as an indie wrestler, trained by Ron Hutchinson, Coach Ron here, and him and Jay Christian, his buddies. There's a whole group of them.
Yep.
But for some reason, because we both had that weird dad joke sense of humor.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what it was. We just gravitate. It's kind of like you Jersey guys gravitate towards each other. So do us Canadians. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but like I said, we were good friends, and it came to when I was thinking about writing the book at first. I wrote the book, and then someone said to me, "Well, you got to get someone to write the foreword." And I'm thinking, well, who can I get to write the foreword? I thought, well, I'll ask Adam, see what he says. And he was more than happy to do it because he brought up the time where he was at WrestleMania 6 sitting in the crowd watching, and he mentioned me and my frullet in the ring refereeing for WrestleMania 6, and then full circle to WrestleMania 24. He has his main event match, and I was blessed to do that match, but I wasn't originally scheduled for that match. It was Adam and Taker who requested me for that match, which was like, oh man, which was really, really cool. But I thought it was perfect for him to write the foreword to the book, and
great. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, that's really great. Did you ever get hurt in the ring really bad?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
A couple of times. I mean, I knocked myself out at WrestleMania 4.
Was that with Jimmy Hart when he hit you?
Yeah, but it wasn't the megaphone I knocked myself out.
I always thought it was the megaphone that hit you.
Yeah, Jimmy apologized for years for that. And I'm saying it wasn't you, it was me. Because when he hit me, I went down face first, and my hands, when I put my hands down to brace myself for the bump, they shot out. My chin hit the canvas, and it was like, you know, the birds were, you know what I mean? Lights out. I don't know how bad you can see this thumb here. That's like if you look at the two of them together.
Oh yeah. I can't see that.
Here ended up almost parallel with my wrist once.
Oof.
You know, I was getting chased around the ring by Umaga.
Oh my!
So I went to slide out the bottom rope, and my thumb caught the apron, and just went hurt. And I went, oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that wasn't good. Fractured my sternum.
Mm.
Yeah, which I didn't tell anybody about.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with JBL and Rey Mysterio. It was a match on SmackDown where the stipulation was if Rey, I believe, was world champion at the time, and if JBL lost, he would have to leave SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a spot where JBL tried to take the corner turnbuckle off, the pad off. I catch him, I go to put it back on. He shoots Rey into my back, and I'm squashed in the corner, but I didn't leave that space in between. I was right up against it, so when Rey hit me, there was nowhere for me to go except in. And you know when all your air leaves your body and doesn't want to come back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
to the point where I was crumbled down on the ground, and Stewie, the cameraman, is looking at me. He goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "I can't breathe."
Wow.
And I didn't know how bad it was. I just thought I got winded.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out a little while later that there was a fracture there. But I didn't tell anybody at the office. This was when I got back home to Canada. So
one of the biggest stars in the business in the movies now is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. You got to see him when he was younger, earlier, probably. How was he, The Rock, with you?
He was fine. I mean, like him and I were friends, but we weren't like hanging out and stuff like that, because he had his crew and stuff. But he was always cool. He was always cool. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. What about Stone Cold?
Stone Cold was always good. He was he was more like he was similar to like The Rock. He did his own thing. He kind of hung in his own circles, but he was actually always cool.
Yeah. We lost obviously Hulk Hogan last year. I'm a big Hulkamaniac. I loved Hulk Hogan growing up in the 80s with him. You know, did you get to meet him and deal with him?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the first, he was always cool from day one. The first time I met him actually was here in Toronto when I was working for Jack before refereeing, and he sent me to the airport to pick him up from the airport hotel. Him and his wife Linda at the time.
Oh, okay.
Were here, so I didn't know what to call him because I knew his name was Terry Bollea, but I just when I got to the hotel, I said, "Oh, Hulk, my name's Jimmy Korderas," and Jack sent me to pick you up, bring you. Hey, brother, how you doing? And he was really friendly from the get-go. And I was like, okay. And as we're driving down, he's kind of doing a little bit of chit-chatting. And then when I started refereeing, I got the opportunity to work with him a little bit. And he was really, really cool and really helped me out,
Oh, wow.
And I remember many, many years later, I got to referee a match between him as Mr. America and Roddy Piper. And before the match, we were talking about the match, going over everything. And he looked at sitting there with him and Piper, and he just looked at everybody and he said, "You know what, brothers? All that's missing here is that ramp." He was referring to the ramp at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Gardens. Yep. Wow, that's impressive. Talking, Mike Chioda has a referee school. What advice would you give someone who wanted to be a referee?
If you're looking to become a referee, someone like a Mike Chioda, go to someone who has done it, has been there and done it at a high level, and learn. I mean, there are other good referee schools out there where you can learn to be a referee. I'm not aware of ones that specifically cater. I know there's one here in Toronto. I don't remember which one it is, but what they do is they have a one night a week dedicated to also training referees as well. If you're going to look for one that will actually train referees, as opposed to, just go to the school, we'll kind of show you the ropes. Look for someone who's reputable, who's either there now or been there.
Okay.
And watch tape of those older of us older farts. And let me be honest, we weren't 100% on the ball all the time. Stuff happens in the ring, but for the most part, we did our jobs. Yeah, we did our jobs pretty well. So
you did.
Yeah, tape study is something that should be utilized a lot. I keep saying tape, but nobody uses tape anymore.
No.
I got a big thing of VHS tapes downstairs. I just get him.
Mhm.
Grease up the VHS machine to see if I could still watch him.
During the Monday Night Wars, everyone was jumping ship and everything. You spent your whole career with the WWE, and I think you
Mhm.
once with the Ring of Honor. Did you ever want to go to WCW at any chance, or no? That was not even.
At that time, no,
No.
no desire to go there. It was just,
No.
I thought it was a fun time though. It was kind of
Yeah.
cool. During Monday nights, we'd be watching, doing our show, and whenever we can, sneak and find a television that had Nitro on, see what the heck they're doing. And
Mhm.
usually it was in the trainer's room. We'd
Yeah.
find the trainer's room with a television or something like that. And I remember one time we were in there kind of hiding because
Mhm.
thinking, are we going to get heat for watching this? We don't know.
Mhm.
And I guess Vince walked by, popped his head, and he said, "Turn that off." You know what I mean? And everybody went, "Oh!" And as he's walking away, he's laughing.
Oh, okay.
So you know what I mean? I talked
Yeah.
earlier about having a bit of a sense of humor.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
Vince.
that's it.
Where can people find you? You have your Instagram at Jimmy,
Mhm.
Real Jimmy Korderas. Is it your name? What else? Also on Facebook? You're on Facebook?
Yep, at Real Jimmy Korderas on Instagram. On Facebook, I'm there. I have a personal account and also another rep
Mhm.
page. It's more like a fan page as well.
Yep.
I'm on Twitter, which some people say it's
Mhm.
not so great. It's turned into not a fun place for a
Yeah.
lot of people. I don't know. I still kind
Mhm.
of amuse myself with Twitter, but at the same time, which is at Jimmy Korderas, if you want to check that out.
Yep. Mhm.
I like having fun on Twitter. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to
So,
be on any more shows? Going more and more some fan shows?
yeah. Let's see. So far this year, I will be at the New England Fan Fest in May on the
In May?
2nd.
Okay.
There's another fan fest, a Legends Mania in Gatineau, Quebec, here in Canada,
Mhm.
on May 30th, with a whole bunch of guys from the 80s.
Okay.
Us old guys,
Yep. Are
which
you
is
going
going
to
to
be
be
at
kind of fun.
the big event in March? The big event in New York in March?
I do not believe so. No, it
Okay.
doesn't look like it. It doesn't look
Yeah,
like I'll be
I'll
there.
be at the event that morning because I got to see Don Morocco is going to be there, and Rick Martel's going to be there for the first time in a
Oh
long time.
wow.
He doesn't do much, Rick.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's a cool dude. I love him.
Yeah, I've really been trying to get him on. He doesn't do a lot at all,
Yeah.
So, but Jimmy, I just want to thank you so much. You're such a cool dude, and anytime we meet up or talk, please, you're welcome to come on. You're awesome, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I appreciate the invite. It's good to talk to you, and
Yeah, man.
you
You're
know,
one of the best, man. You are. You're
I
really
appreciate
funny.
that. That does mean a lot, really.
You're part of our
Like I,
childhood.
like I said, sometimes the background players they don't get the flowers, but I appreciate when I hear stuff like that because it really does mean a lot to me.
Yeah, like I said, you, Kyo, and all those guys, you guys really made a difference, because you're part of the story, and we love watching you guys. Even though you're not the star,
Mhm.
you're there helping support it, and we appreciate you so much, man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. Have a good one, Jimmy. I will talk to you and text you later. You got it, brother.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it. Jay-Z pumping iron.